Yo guys, Jonathan here, and when Tim Cook took the stage today and said this was going to be the best and biggest WWDC ever, I think he was telling the truth. There was so much stuff announced today that if you're going to buy one of each product on Apple's website with that shiny, attractive new tag, you'd be dropping $34,547, and let me break that down. So we are seconds into the video and I've already made a terrible mistake. I forgot all about the brand new Apple Magic Keyboard with number pad. That's going to tack on an additional $129, which brings us to a grand total of $34,676. So I'm gonna start with the two products that A, look most interesting to me, and B, aren't available till later this year. This is the brand new HomePod speaker and the, oh my god, that looks amazing, iMac Pro. Now the HomePod is actually that rumored Siri speaker we've been hearing about, and not gonna lie, HomePod doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Honestly, at this point, Siri speaker might have been a better name because HomePod is almost like they were high Sierra while naming it. What I can tell you about the HomePod though is it kind of looks like a Mac Pro Mini covered in fabric. I was not allowed to touch it, I was not allowed to listen to it, but for your reference, here's how it looks stacked up next to an iPhone 7 Plus. There was a ton of talk and hype surrounding the HomePod, mainly around its Siri capabilities and the tech inside. It's actually packing Apple's A8 chip, which is kind of crazy for a speaker, but ultimately it comes down to how does the speaker sound, because if it sounds bad, none of those cool features matter. At the very least though, I am super curious to actually get my hands on one. So next up is the insane iMac Pro, and no, that is not a mistake. The iMac Pro is a real thing. These start at $49.99, and beyond the super attractive space gray finish, there's actually some serious power packed inside. For starters, out of the box, this comes with an 8-core Intel Xeon processor, but you can configure it up to 18 cores, and I'm not sure I thought I would ever say 18 cores and iMac in the same sentence. As far as graphics go, these are packing AMD's Vega GPUs and can be configured up to 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which is kind of crazy for an iMac. You can also configure these up to 128 gigabytes of RAM, which is also kind of nuts, and even though this is more of a WWDC video, I did get to spend some time with the iMac Pro, so if you guys want to see a dedicated video on that, let me know by dropping a like down below. Moving down the list, there were two new iPad Pros today, a completely brand new 10.5-inch iPad Pro that replaces the 9.7-inch model, and a much needed update to the 12.9-inch model. These come in at $649 and $799. Now there's some pretty serious power packed inside these iPad Pros. Both of them come equipped with Apple's A10X chip. That's a 6-core CPU, 12-core GPU, and then you pair that with all the iOS 11 updates specific to the iPad Pro, and those look pretty attractive. Now from there were updates to pretty much every single MacBook across the board, starting with the 12-inch MacBook. There is a 1.2 GHz 256 gigabyte model for $1299, and then a 1.3 GHz 512 gigabyte model for $1599. Now as far as the MacBook Pro, starting with the 13-inch model, there are 4 brand new stock configurations. There is a 2.3 GHz 128 gigabyte model with no touch bar for $1299, and then you can double the storage on that for $1499. Jumping over to the Touch Bar 13-inch MacBook Pros, you can pick up a 3.1 GHz 256 gigabyte model for $1799, or you can double that storage for $1999. Now moving on to its bigger brother, the 15-inch MacBook Pro, there are 2 stock configurations there, a 2.8 GHz 256 gigabyte model for $2399, or a 2.9 GHz 512 gigabyte model for $2799. So clearly there is so much to talk about that I'd get up out of there and move to a different location, but touching upon those MacBook Pros for a second, they're pretty much solely just a Kaby Lake spec bump and nothing more. If you were holding out for a 32 gigabyte RAM option upgrade, that did not happen, but I guess the good news is if you just bought a MacBook Pro or you own a 2016 model, there really isn't a huge reason to upgrade. So moving on from the MacBook Pros, both the 21.5-inch and 27-inch iMacs got updates across the board. The 21.5-inch iMac starts out at $1099. It's going to get you a 2.3 GHz processor, a 1TB hard drive, integrated graphics, and a 1080p display. Now if you want to jump up to a Retina 4K iMac, those start at $1299. That's going to get you a 3.0 GHz processor, a 1TB hard drive, but this time you get a bump up to Radeon Pro 555 dedicated graphics. Now for $1499, this is going to be your best bang for your buck as far as the 21.5-inch iMac goes. That's going to get you a 3.4 GHz processor, a 1TB Fusion drive, something the prior 2 iMacs don't have, and you're going to jump all the way up to Radeon Pro 560 graphics. Jumping over to the 27-inch 5K iMac, those start at $1799. That's going to get you a 3.4 GHz processor, a 1TB Fusion drive, and Radeon Pro 570 graphics. Now for $200 more, you're going to get a slightly faster CPU, but more importantly, you're going to bump up to Radeon Pro 575 graphics. And lastly, for $2299, that's going to get you a 3.8 GHz processor, a 2TB Fusion drive, but the kicker here is you're getting Radeon Pro 580 graphics with a crazy 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, if you do want to max this iMac out, it's going to run you $52.99, which puts you directly in iMac Pro pricing. Maybe that kind of puts things in perspective as far as that goes. Now, if we stop there and we were just talking about hardware, that would put us at a grand total of $31,482, but we're not done. Apple dropped a crap load of new accessories. This is going to be a mouthful, but there were 8 brand new Apple Watches at $49 a pop, 5 brand new iPhone 7 cases, 3 of the silicone being $35 and 2 of the leather being $45. Double that for the iPhone 7 Plus cases, but add $4 onto each of those prices. And then from there were a ton of iPad Pro accessories, starting with the Apple Pencil case. Those are $29 a pop at 4 different color options. That brings us to a grand total of $116. 4 leather sleeve options for the 10.5-inch iPad Pro is $516. 7 10.5-inch iPad Pro smart covers is $343. 4 leather smart covers for the 10.5-inch iPad Pro equals $270. The brand new 10.5-inch iPad Pro smart keyboard is $159. We then of course have the brand new 12.9-inch iPad Pro as well. There are 3 leather sleeve options for that, totaling $447. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro smart keyboard is $169. The 3 leather smart cover options for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro are $237. And lastly, that brand new Apple Magic Keyboard with number pad is another $129, which brings us to a grand total of $34,676. Also, if you're curious about iOS 11 coverage, make sure you check out Miss Crystal Key. She's got you covered there. Just dropped a brand new Dream Desk as well, which I am super proud of. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys later.